Hey, my friend, welcome to day 5 of the Routine Reset. I am your host, Jess, and if you are coming back, I'm so glad you're back. We're just crushing this week, aren't we? We are doing all the things. We are getting organized, restructuring our days so that we can stay in the driver's seat when it comes to our eating. And that's what being empowered is. If you are new here, it's a great day to start because today we're talking about my absolute favorite thing to talk about, protein. Actually, I can't say my favorite because I also love talking about making choices that feel good in your body. I like talking about exercise. Really, I like talking about all food things, if I'm being totally honest. But protein in particular is, we'll say top 5. My top 5 favorite things to talk about when it comes to food. And it's because it is so freaking powerful. When we pay attention and become acquainted with how much protein our body needs, how to accurately hit that amount, how to time it throughout the day, how to follow it up with the right amount of fluid so our body can digest it. When we check all those boxes, and then here's the empowered eating piece. Then we also tune in to biofeedback. It is a fail-proof way to feel awesome in your body. I have had clients who implement these tactics feel better within days. I mean, days of making these changes. And at the same time, I like talking about it because we also keep on the empowered eating lens, which means these don't become rules. These aren't things we need to obsess over. We don't need to be afraid of meals that don't quite hit that protein target because we understand how it works. So I love balancing the grit and grace when it comes to these kind of topics because one, I see how powerful they are, and I also know that knowledge is even more powerful in helping us implement this in an empowered way, and I'm really excited to break it down for you guys in today's mini episode. Are you loving this routine reset? Doesn't it feel so good to get some of that control back so that we can show up every day intentionally and therefore empowered? If you're loving this, girl, you are going to love becoming an empowered eater. Food freedom and getting healthier, it can totally coexist. This week, you can snag your spot inside the Empowered Eating Method for 20% off with the discount code RESET. The Empowered Eating Method is 12 weeks to walk you toward empowered eating based on values work, learning all about using biofeedback as a marker of success instead of the scale, and of course, a customized to-you fuel plan written by me. All the details can be found in the show notes or over at jessbrownrd.com under courses. And the cool part is anyone who joins now gets to be a part of the live group coaching that is going to kick off in September. That's right. Starting in September, we are going to have monthly live group support so that I can support you in real time. Stay committed to the empowered eating process all the way through the end of the year. You can snag that 20% off through Friday with the discount code RESET at checkout. All right, let's get back to the show and today's challenge. When I think about my protein journey, I think back to the little Jessica who many years ago thought protein and too much protein would make her look like The Rock, like pound on tons of muscle, which is so funny looking back now because now I actually try to build muscle and I see how hard it is. So it's funny to me that at some point I was afraid of gaining too much muscle. But, that's the reality, right? Like that's where some of these messages about nutrition get warped in our head and we start to become fearful. So today my goal is to talk about protein, how powerful it is, and understand it so we can implement a little bit of grit and intentionality and maintain that grace so we don't feel like we have new food rules to follow. We can keep it empowered. And I want you to understand that so that you can navigate protein and feel the incredible benefits that come from it. So it is no secret that protein is an absolute dietary superstar. The problem is we as women still tend to not get quite enough of it, and we don't understand the importance of timing when it comes to protein. Why? My theory on this, and this is just my theory, is that we are caretakers. Naturally, that's a message that's deeply embedded in our culture. I think it's also in our nature. We are caretakers, and we tend to take care of others, whether that is at work or it's at home or with our friends. So when it comes to eating enough protein and the timing, the reality is hitting that, it takes work and it takes effort. And sometimes we're giving so much to others that we really struggle to just give this to ourselves. So all that to say, as we talk about some of the targets with protein, I just want to acknowledge here that even though these facts are simple and I talk about how powerful it is, I understand the implementation of it is not simple. I mean, if it was, you wouldn't be here, right? So as I talk about some of the knowledge and the resources and the reasons why we need to have a certain amount of protein in the timing, hang on till the end, sister, because we're also going to touch on how to keep grace when it comes to this and not turn this into another food rule. All right? Can you hang with me till the end? Okay, so when we talk about the grit side of this, or the intentionality, when I think of protein, I think of two things: amount and timing. The amount of protein is absolutely crucial. Back in the day when we were spring chickens, we could take any amount of protein and our body flipped on our muscle repair process. I mean, you could have a little bit of peanut butter, a few nuts, and hey, it took those amino acids and bam, started turning over protein. As we get older, this process has a higher trigger point. We need a higher dose of protein to get that muscle repair process to turn on. The research shows we need at least 20 grams of protein. So one of the recommendations that I have is building meals around a minimum of 20 grams of protein. So this is going to be about like a palm-sized serving of chicken, meat, or fish. If we're looking at a non-animal protein source, we're looking at about a cup to a cup and a half of a combination of like beans, rice, and tofu, pulling in protein from multiple protein sources and then topping it with like cheese or avocado to give it that extra little topping of protein. But either way, we are looking at building a meal with that minimum of 20 grams of protein, because what that does is it tells our body consistently 3 times throughout the day, hey, here's a dose of protein. Let's keep that muscle repair process going. And the reason that's so important is because, again, as we age, we are like cars, and over time we get a little worn down. So we need our system to have incoming tools to help us repair and rebuild and keep going. Our muscles start to slow in their repair process over time. So we need that dose, we need that extra hit of protein so that we can continue to repair and rebuild. And this is not with the intention of necessarily like building muscle or maximizing our lean body tissue and looking like The Rock. No, this is actually just building and maintaining lean body tissue around our bones so that we can have strong enough bodies that as we age and we are picking up dog food from the grocery cart. That's the example I always use because that's what that 40-pound bag of dog food is freaking heavy. To be able to do that, we have to have strong muscles. And if we don't, we can hurt ourselves, right? If we don't have the muscle tissue there to support that lifting movement, that momentum actually pulls on our bones and we can either have some sort of stress fracture, maybe we have a strain or a tear, and now we've impaired our body's ability to maneuver throughout the day. So hitting that 20 grams of protein is where I love to start people. Now that's a minimum. The research shows between 20 up to about 50 gram doses is where our body really responds and turns on that muscle repair process. So oftentimes when I'm talking about this, I get the question, well, what about snacks? Like, do I need that much for snacks? So the quick answer is, if we want the same effect, yes. The longer answer is, that's really hard to do. Like, unless you're having a protein shake or a protein bar, that can be tricky. So there's 2 ways I go about that. One, like kind of looking at your overall protein intake, and do you need to have like a mini meal to hit your total protein goal throughout the day? And if not, then looking at your snacks to have a minimum of about 10 grams, because then the objective isn't necessarily to turn on that muscle repair process. Instead, the objective with that snack is to give your body just a little bit of protein. It's more of like a hunger management tool, and then balance it with carbohydrate and or fat so that you have an energy lift. So the overall goal that I work with clients on is hitting 20 minimum grams of protein at least 3 times a day, snacks with a minimum of 10, working up to 20 if it's possible. So the second part of the intentionality here is the timing piece when it comes to protein. And that would be just looking at each meal, having these doses of protein at every meal or as many meals as possible. Plus, here's the additional one that we're looking at, plus after a workout. So the question is like, if I have 20 grams of protein after a workout, does that mean I don't have it at the next meal? No. If you work out, which my definition of working out is moving your body on purpose, if you push your body, you need something after to repair and rebuild, which you just the limit you just pushed your body past. So we would then have a post-workout protein shake plus 3 meals with 20 grams of protein, or a post-workout bowl of Greek yogurt plus 3 meals with 20 grams of protein. So that's the amount and that's the timing. And then just the third piece in that I have to include, because I want to make sure we're covering all the bases here, is if we're upping our protein, we need fluid to go with it. Your body needs H2O to break down protein. So make sure you're having enough and plenty of fluid to go with that bolus or that increase in protein. Okay, so that's the grit. Here's the grace. Here's where we keep it empowered. This is the nutrition science part of it, right? Like, we understand what our body needs. We understand why it needs this higher amount of protein. We understand the benefits. And as you implement that, you will feel the biofeedback. You will feel stronger. You will feel more energetic. We also have to understand that there will be days we struggle to do this. So my sweet friend, as we look at resetting our routine this week and we are evaluating how much protein we're getting, can we get it at every single meal? How can we build meals around protein? I also want you to keep that grace on and understand that we're not going to hit it every time. There will be times that your fridge is empty and you thought you had chicken in it. There will be times where the kids are running late or they're sick and you didn't get to cook dinner. So there are 2 things I like to do. 1, have a backup plan. I believe God invented protein bars and protein powders for busy women because they are a godsend. They truly are. And while they may not provide all the extra things like antioxidants and gut health benefits, sure, they don't give all of that, but they do help us out when we are in a pinch. So having some of these on hand and as backup and understanding you're doing the best you can, that's a great option. And then the other is just plain old trust that your body can handle the flexibility. And when you have a few meals here and there that don't hit this, guess what, sister, you're going to be okay. You know how I know you're going to be okay? Because you've been okay. Before you implemented this, you were okay before that. And so you might not feel as great afterwards. You may feel like, you may notice some of the biofeedback, like you're hungrier quicker when you don't have a higher amount of protein at a meal. But here's the thing, if we can keep a neutral lens on that and understand that is also biofeedback, that can help us make decisions in the future and remain empowered. Because here's the thing about biofeedback. We are not looking for perfect eating. We are not looking for perfect biofeedback. We are learning how to read our body and best support it in that moment in time. Okay, so we have a little bit of grit here where we are going to be looking at our protein today. How are we doing? I mean, maybe it's just taking inventory. How much protein are you getting at your meals? What do we need to do to move that bar up to a minimum of 20? Now, as you go about this today, don't forget that grace piece. You weren't prepared for this. You may not have planned for this, so you might not hit 20, and that's okay. Just listen to how your body responds, and then you're going to have that biofeedback as information to help you compare it to how you feel when you have 20 grams. All amazing, wonderful information, and that neutral lens allows us to look at this information and keep our eating empowered. Okay, friend, we have 2 more days of our routine reset. Tomorrow, we are talking about exercise. How much do you actually need and what kind? As we're evaluating the routine reset, I had to include this piece because movement is a crucial part of our empowered eating journey. So we will dive into that tomorrow. I will see you then. Cheers, my sweet friend, and happy eating. Thanks for tuning in to the Routine Reset Challenge. Be sure you follow along by subscribing to the show and downloading your daily reset calendar from the show notes. And if you're loving this challenge, I know you are ready to become an empowered eater. Food freedom and getting healthier, girl, it can coexist. This week, you can snag your spot in the Empowered Eating Method for 20% off with the discount code RESET. The Empowered Eating Method is a 12-week program to walk you towards empowered eating based on values work, learning all about biofeedback as markers of success instead of the scale, and of course, a customized for you fuel plan. All the details can be found at jessbrownrd.com under courses, or look at the show notes below. And anyone who joins now gets to be a part of the live group support that's going to be kicking off in September. That's right. We are going to have monthly live support from me to keep you committed to see the empowered eating process all the way through to the end of the year. Be sure you tune in right here tomorrow as we continue the Routine Reset Challenge to empower your journey. Cheers, friend, and happy resetting.